they finna kill this one.
So I gotta get our YouTube channel going. Before I get started, though, I'm gonna give some people some time to get in. I'm also gonna be sharing this on our Facebook page, since this is primarily what we have been operating from. So give me 1 second here as I share this to our page. While I'm doing that, peace and blessings to everybody. I know YouTube is a little bit different. So, of course, with YouTube, when we go live and things of that nature, people will be able to go back later on to look at what it is that we will be diving into. So right now, what I am doing, so that you guys get a synopsis, since this page is fairly new, we haven't been using it in that aspect. Right now, what I am doing is sharing this on our Facebook page so that I can get everybody on the same page. So bear with me. Of course, we're going to be talking about some things right here in our city that we are definitely needing to pay more attention to. I think right now, with the situation where a lot of unsolved murders and things of that nature, I think this is the time now where we really need to be talking about these things. Now, some of these cases are unsolved. A lot of these cases, well, the case that we're primarily going to be dealing with today is a cold case. There's a lot of cold cases here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, contrary to a lot of people's belief. But we are going to be diving in deeper to one case in particular. First, I'm going to turn this camera around so that you guys can see me now that I've officially sent the notice out that we are live on YouTube. So, peace and blessings to everybody, y'all. If you guys are not familiar with Soul Catcher News, Soul Catcher News is a new news outlet out of Elizabeth City, North Carolina, guys. We actually started operating right after Andrew Brown Jr. was killed by law enforcement here. This is a local independent news outlet ran by me, being Soul, and also my wife, Lady Soul. And also, we are striving to bridge the gap, if that makes sense, when it comes to people knowing what's going on in the city. But we are going to be diving into a case that a lot of you guys know of, because we have took the time to explain a little bit, especially since this is a case that our family is still dealing with today. There's also some more cases and things, uh, that has not been solved here. And we need to make sure that we are shining a light on these things. These things that are going on here are affecting individuals. And if you're human, then you come with a heart and a soul and all of these things. So uh, I want you guys to first and foremost listen, right, at what it is that we're going to be presenting you guys. Javon Lee Morris, and I've been talking about this. Some of you guys may feel as if it's a dead horse if you have been a part of our soul catching family. But I assure you this is not a dead horse to us. Javon Lee Morris was brutally killed in 2013. He was killed, and the circumstances have not been released yet. This is basically a cold case. 2013 is when he got killed, and now it's 2022. But I wanted you guys to hear from that at the time sheriff being Randy Cartwright. Now, once more, a lot of people, ask us why we do what we do. We do what we do because we feel that individuals like yourself, like ourselves, deserve to have closure, deserve to know what's going on around about in the city and things of that nature. So it is only right that as news reporters, as a news outlet, to bring these things to you guys so that you guys understand. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm loading up so that you guys can actually see for yourselves what it is that we're going to be reading from. Now, this was a interview that was done by Wavy TV 10. This was done some years after my brother Javon Lee Morris was killed here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. So I want you guys to listen. If I can bring this up real quick, we're going to see if we can get you guys to listen. Let's see if I can bring it up this way. Bear with me. Right now, though, guys, and to be honest with you, this right here, the stuff that we're going over right now, because we have a lot of cold cases, we have a lot of unsolved cases. So while I am pulling this up, we are going to be talking a little bit about Takoria Sutton, which he was killed here not too long ago. We also had a mass shooting that occurred in December of last year here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Now, of course, the suspects or individuals have been caught for the latter part, the latter case. So we wanted to be clear about that. There's also cases that have not been answered in its totality, especially when it comes to the family, when it comes to deaths and circumstances dealing with our jail system here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. We've also dealt with so much of an influx on violence here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. It has left a lot of people with the shock effect, if that makes sense, guys. All right, so trying to bring this up right here. I really want you guys to listen to this interview. If I can get this interview up, my phone is acting a little crazy right now, but of course, if I wanted to bring it up on the other phone, it would it would be working right now. All right, so I think I'm gonna just pull it up through YouTube. Appreciate everybody bearing with me. Like I said, this is where we are going to be reporting from and things a lot now. We definitely have to get our YouTube channel going. There's a lot of things that we are striving to do when it comes to the YouTube channel. So we definitely want to make sure that we have YouTube starting to see soul catching news pop up and things, guys. Also, if you guys can, always make sure that y'all share these lives. Always make sure that you share anything that you see from soul catching news so that we can get in the YouTube algorithm. Now let's see, Elizabeth City. See what's popping up. So gonna let you guys listen to this right here.
Kill fleas fast with Capstar.
What I'll do is I'll cut the car on so that the music or the what we'll be listening to, the playback, will be coming from the radio, so we can actually hear. So before I get started with this right here, I just want to be clear, especially with my family members and things. We're going to be touching on some things that I know is a little bit choppy still for our family. But nonetheless, guys, we want you guys to understand that our family is still grieving with this situation. We have not gotten justice at all when it comes to the situation of Javon Lee Morris. But we are going to let you guys listen once more. If you guys want to go back and look, right, I'm gonna put this here so you can see. Of course, you guys can look for this interview. It was actually 5 years ago, according to the YouTube here. But we are gonna let you guys listen in on what it was that Wavy TV10 had actually reported on. So this is actually gonna be Wavy talking to you guys for a second.
Part of Pasquotank County. He'd been missing for weeks.
The deputies determined he was shot to death, and years later they are still searching for this killer. 10 on your side, Jason Marks talked with the victim's family, who is still searching for answers.
Well, Javon Morris had been missing for 13 days here in the Elizabeth City area. It was July 18th, 4 years ago, when someone found his badly decomposed body in a ditch here in rural Pasquotank County.
It's been 4 long years.
Losing a family member to violence is never easy, but not knowing the person responsible is heartbreaking.
Who killed Petey and why? Who killed Javon and why?
Javon Morris's family is still brought to tears when they think about what he must have went through. He went missing July 5th, 2013.
Every morning you think about this because everybody loved him.
Deputies say they don't have much to go on. They know Morris's car was found here at the Woodstock Apartments in Elizabeth City. That was a week after his disappearance.
You can't prepare for it because it broke us all down when they found the body.
July 18th, a work crew found Morris's body in a ditch along Florida Road in rural Pasquotank County.
Mr. Morris had been shot multiple times.
Since then, deputies have chased down every lead, but haven't been able to find the killer.
We need to get over that last hump.
The sheriff tells 10 on your side he's not sure.
Okay. So we're going to put some things in perspective right now before we go any further. So Javon Lee Morris went missing in 2013. When he went missing, some things happened before that that we're going to be diving in that will make this family at least believe that law enforcement, or at least some of law enforcement, if not all of law enforcement for that reason, and we'll piggyback on that on why we say that. Here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, may have played a major part in my brother Javon Lee Morris being kidnapped, being tortured, being killed. Okay. The sheriff at that time, and we want to put things in perspective so that you guys understand where we're coming from. So the outskirts, which would be the county, Pasquotank County, which Elizabeth City resides in, Pasquotank County, would be handled by the Pasquotank Sheriff Department here in Elizabeth City. Now, of course, inner city happenings and things of that nature is usually done by the Elizabeth City Police Department here. Now, I want to put things in perspective so that you guys get some type of timeline and you know exactly where it is that we're coming from. This is what we know. We do know that prior to this, Javon Lee Morris sustained an injury. He was actually grazed by a bullet. We know that sheriff, or at least he will be running for sheriff here in November, Mr. Eddie Graham, transported Javon Lee Morris on the very first occasion that this happened. Now, this is what I am going to do so that you guys get the synopsis or whatever, right? I'm going to actually go live too from Facebook because we have a lot of elderly people may not be privy with Facebook. But while I'm getting that together, Mr. Graham, according to reports and things of that nature, transported Javon Lee Morris to the hospital here in Elizabeth City, where then Javon Lee Morris was transported through Nightingale to Virginia at one of the hospitals there. Now, we're not implying that Eddie Graham had anything to do with this stuff. What we are about to dive in is what happened that led up to the demise that we're talking about when it comes to my brother in its totality. So we're giving you guys a open if that makes sense. So when Javon had this little episode or whatever, some time had went by. Okay. With that time going by, Javon had already had a son and things of that nature. There was a situation that took place here, though, and we want to be clear about that. Where, and I'm going live here too, guys. So if I'm looking at, y'all just bear with me, okay? So I just went live on my Facebook channel as well. Javon Lee Morris was approached by an officer by the name of Rodriguez. Now, this was dealing with a different situation. Of course, we've already seen phone calls and things to let us know that Javon Lee Morris actually felt as if, and just being real with you guys, he felt as if his life may be at stake because an individual by the name, once more, of Rodriguez actually decided to tell these individuals that Javon Lee Morris was going to tell on them. Now, you guys are just coming in now on Facebook. We went live on YouTube, and that's why I am doing the cross thing right now so that you guys get a synopsis or whatever what's going on. Okay, so we are actually on YouTube and Facebook, guys. We actually shared the link on our page. This Reasoning with Seasoning podcast is dedicated to the murders and things that's going on here in the city, whether it's unsolved murders, cold cases, things of that nature. And right now, because you guys are just coming in late because of us just going live now, we have been talking about this a little bit now on our YouTube page. What I want you guys to do, though, is 78 of you guys, 80 of you guys coming in now. Right now, if you can, y'all make sure that y'all touch the link or whatever. Y'all just stop by on our YouTube page. You don't have to stay on, but of course, you guys stopped by. What we are talking about right now, though, is Javon Lee Moore's. Peace and blessings, Ms. Barton. There are some things that we are going over right now so that you guys can get a synopsis on what it is that the family has been subjected to, as far as what it is that we have learned and things of that nature. Of course, on our YouTube page, I shared a clip first from Wavy TV 10 that just reported on this case again about 5 years ago. Okay. And we wanted to put that in perspective so that you guys would understand where it is that we are coming from. So you guys are just coming in late. We are talking about the murder that took place in 2013 right now at this moment. I know you guys can't see me. Y'all can see the hat and stuff, but I have both phones on the dash. With this situation, though, it's kind of hard to talk about because we have to relive things on a day-to-day basis, but actually talking about it, guys, is a little frustrating. Randy Cartwright was your sheriff at the time. It wasn't Tommy Wooten. There were some elements once more that came into play with this situation that leads us or have us to believe that law enforcement may have been involved when it comes to the demise of Javon Lee Morris. Now, once more, there's a lot of things that we could assume and things, but we're not going to assume anything. We're going to give you guys what it is that we know, okay, about this situation. All right? When it comes to this situation, we know that there was a situation once more that happened prior to this where Javon Lee Morris had to be transported to the hospital by an officer. The officer at the time was Eddie Graham. Eddie Graham will be running for sheriff in November, by the way, guys. Eddie Graham, we know that he transported Javon Lee Morris to the hospital in a separate occasion. This is a different occasion, okay? This is the occasion, though, that happened before Javon died, of course. Now, with this situation, we know that Javon Lee Morris got grazed by a bullet, guys. Some of you guys knew him as Pete Raw, okay? We know his injuries that was sustained led him to have to be flown in a Nightingale to a Virginia hospital. We all know this. We also know that there was a bunch of 911 calls, right? And then we're going to be diving into Mr. Rodriguez and what he played a part in. Officer Rodriguez is an officer that is about to retire here very, very soon. He is actually still here on the force here in Elizabeth City. Some of you guys have some crazy stories about Rodriguez, and I believe every last one of them because he is definitely a dirty cop. Now, some of you guys may take offense to what it is that we are saying, but we are telling you in advance we don't care. If you are going to abuse your badge, that doesn't make you a good cop in our eyes. If you are going to play the cowardly role, that doesn't make you a good cop in our eyes. So once more, we are not against law enforcement because you're very much so needed. There's a bunch of people running rampant around here, and we hope that you guys do your due diligence, right? Because if they are not progressive in the streets, if they're not going to let you live as the citizens in the street, then, you know, that's just how we feel about that. But if you are going to abuse your badge, and make no mistake about it, that's exactly what took place here. There's a lot of cops that were on the force at that time that knew exactly what Rodriguez did, the part that he played in my brother being kidnapped, tortured, murdered. And they decided not to speak on it. We do know for a fact, though, some of the officers do know that this unruly creature decided to do what he did. Javon Lee Morris, last location as far as physically being seen by someone that truly loved him to death was in the Woodstock apartment area here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. We know that. We know that his car was left there after a certain period of time. We know that. We know that from calls from Javon Morris himself before this tragic situation happened. We know that Javon Lee Morris contacted a family member, maybe even more, to let them know that Rodriguez gave him a timeline. And we're going to walk you guys through this timeline. Rodriguez told my brother that he would have to come to the police department or wherever it was he wanted him to meet, and he gave him a deadline, 5:30ish, somewhere around that time, to be there with names of individuals. Now, we don't know the case on why he was requesting names for different individuals and things, but we do know that Javon Morris decided not to cooperate, if that makes sense, with law enforcement. Now, let me tell you why Javon Lee Morris was questioned in the first place, because we do know that as well too. There was a situation that was going on here in Elizabeth City where some people got shot or somebody got hurt behind getting shot or whatever the case may be. Javon Lee Morris was asked to cooperate with the police to give names to individuals, the police, on who may have shot these individuals or individuals. We know that Javon Lee Morris was not physically there when this situation took place. We know that Javon Lee Morris was questioned by family members of these individuals that, felt as if he may have had a part in what took place with their family member. We know all of these things. We also know, because they know, just like everybody else should know, it is public record. Javon Lee Morris was never on anybody's paperwork. He was never cooperating with the police to turn you in, to do anything to you. And we also know that Rodriguez decided to make a threat to Javon Lee Morris and tell him that if he did not return at 5:30 with names of individuals that may have committed the crime that, once more, Javon Lee Morris was not physically there at. He had no prior knowledge to what it was that was going on with this situation. We know that he had a timeline at 5:30 to report with names. We know that Javon, because he was not implemented in any of these things other than, the police trying to implement him in something. We know that Javon Lee Morris was threatened. We know that he was told that if he did not come up there at 5:30 p.m. or whatever the case may be, that he would be branded as a snitch anyway. Now, it's a lot to digest. Javon Lee Morris and this is according to family members now. Like I said, I know it's hard right now. Listening, I know it's hard. Javon Lee Morris, though, was found in Florida Road. Now, Mr. Rodriguez got in trouble behind certain things, and we know that these certain elements had to do with this case. We know that desk duty or whatever the case may be was something that Rodriguez was doing until about the time that Javon Lee Morris was found. Javon Lee Morris once more was found in the Florida Road area, which will be in the Wheatsville area of North Carolina, guys, still Pasquotank County. We know that Javon, because of individuals calling in, maybe of concern and things of that nature, but they didn't want to be recognized when it comes to this. We know that Javon Lee Morris was in the vicinity already of Florida Road. We know that because family members had already been tipped off that Javon Lee Morris was somewhere around the Florida Road area. We know that. We also know that law enforcement, we're talking about the Pasquotank Sheriff Department, which at that time Randy Cartwright was your sheriff once more. We know that family members was told not to go on Florida Road, only to come to find out that Javon Lee Morris was actually found on Florida Road by workers that was out there at that time tending to the fields and things of that nature, the ditches and stuff, right? We know that this individual, this unruly creature, is about to retire here on the force. We know that. Now, some of you guys will say, you always going at law enforcement. You always doing this. Well, you know, we told you guys that this was personal. It's personal. It's personal for a lot of reasons, though. The major reason, though, so that you guys go ahead and get this out of your head, the major reason why it's personal is because if an individual can take their badge, if individuals can be in cahoots to make people get killed, tortured, kidnapped, then that should be a concern to you, because, see, that can, you know, easily come to your front door, right? You're seeing it all the time, right? So we're not going at law enforcement. We're just going at the unruly creatures. We're going at the unruly cowards. We're going at the unruly bastards that will put on a badge and use it in their own personal whims and things, and their own personal whims has nothing to do with the oath that they took when it comes to protecting and serving. So I wanted to be clear about that. Mr. Cartwright made a statement on Wavy TV 10, and it stuck out to a lot of our family members, especially my auntie. Randy Cartwright, on this particular interview, decided to say that they needed one step to get over a hump. Let me tell you what that step was so that you guys understand. There was 911 calls. There was everything under the sun when it comes to this situation of Javon Lee Morris. There was cover-ups left and right. A lot of these people that know, Chief Buffalo was the chief at the time. Eddie Graham, which is running for sheriff now, they all know. There's no need for us to sit up here and, you know, sugarcoat anything, which if you are familiar with Soul Catching News, you know we're not going to do that at all anyway. We're just, you know, going to go ahead and tell you guys what it is, okay? The Elizabeth City Police Department here helped one of their own cover up a murder. Now, you can say whatever it is that you want to say, and I promise you it's going to fall on deaf ears if you're talking about you don't have proof. We got plenty of proof. You see, the problem is with Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and a lot of individuals that call themselves wanting to be scared of what truth would bring. You guys reside in the problem that we have here too. It's happening around the world. Some of you guys have decided to keep getting hit upside your head with a damn bat. I guess it feels good to you. There should be coverage around the clock for individuals that would plan a murder. And make no mistake about it now. He may not have pulled the trigger. He may not have dumped the body. He may not have wrapped them up in the carpet. He may not have done any of that. But, you know, conspiracy to commit murder is a hell of a thing. And he definitely did that by stating that he would tell the boys. Y'all, he would tell the boys that Javon Lee Morris told on them, so to speak. Nothing ever materialized once more from any of that to support that claim. Nothing at all. So you have a murderer that's about to retire from the police force, right? We all know that it is documented that he got busted down, only to, somehow climb back up on those ranks and things. We know that this individual, this scum, whatever it is that you want to call it, because he's definitely not anything that you would want to represent as being a Leo. Some of you proud Leos, you should be definitely having your ears open for that, since you guys are so into protecting these Leos, right? But you are not into protecting the people that these Leos are supposed to be serving, which is really, really crazy to me in a whole nother manner. But for heaven's sake. Javon Lee Morris left a son behind, and it wasn't due to his negligence. There's individuals that reside in our city and abroad, once more, that approached Javon on the situation that took place, only for Javon to tell them that he wasn't even there. He had nothing to do with this. Some of these individuals still reside here. Some of these individuals have their noses up at the family. Now listen, because we're dealing with a bunch of unsolved murders, and we're dealing with a bunch of cold cases and things here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. When individuals ask questions on what happened to their family members, there's always a backlash. There's always a backlash. Now, my question would be to, first off, the sheriff that was the sheriff at the time, which would have been Randy Cartwright. What exactly did you mean by you had to get over one step, one hump? What was that hump or step that you had to get over? Was that tying up the loose ends, the strings and things, when it comes to the cahoots of the Elizabeth City Police Department and also the Pasco Tank Sheriff Department? Because there was definitely foul play. There's a lot of things that we could put in here, like the facts of those 911 calls and people being told that they was crazy because they swore that they seen everything that took place. Individuals was very sloppy when it came to my brother because they didn't care, right? These are not professional killers and things. These was individuals that was enraged and with the motivation to kill a person. So let's make sure that we putting that out there as well. Javon Lee Morris was told because he didn't know anything, or even if he did know anything. Think about that. There's always a double-edged sword, right? So, if you're not the suspect in question, or you're not the participant in question and things of that nature, how is it that you, being a person of interest, right, to them at that time, right, how is it that you could go missing? How is it that you can be threatened, that you would be implemented into talking to law enforcement if you are not talking to law enforcement? Law enforcement, right? And we got to say Elizabeth City because, like I said, everybody that was on the force at that time, they know what it is. Some of those individuals are still on the force now with this scum called Rodriguez. And right now, they know what happened. A situation took place, if you guys are not privy, last year, to where a bunch of the protesters that was protesting here for the Andrew Brown situation that took place here was found not guilty the same day that I was found guilty. I was the only one that was found guilty that particular day. We also dived in a little bit into why that may have took place, but we told you guys that we will be found not guilty even if I had to take it to the Supreme Court, which eventually we were. The court system here, the Elizabeth City Police Department here, the Pasco Tank Sheriff Department here, all have something in common here. And I know you guys are going to get mad about that, but, no accountability. They all three of those sectors have that in common here. We're talking about the court system here. We're talking about the law system here, right? I just want you guys to understand so that we are following. You had an individual that actually came to court, right? And I represented myself so that you guys get a synopsis. Come to court. He get on the stand. We're talking about Rodriguez right now. He gets on the stand. When he gets on the stand, the first question that I ask, because it's pertaining to my case. Have you ever been reprimanded, disciplined or anything of that nature when it comes to operating of your job of being a Leo? Only for Judge Barnes, which is another racist prick in my opinion here. Judge Tillett is another racist prick here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. There's a lot of racist pricks here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Make no mistake about it. A lot of them reside up in that courthouse. They only feel as big as the robe it is that they decide to put on that day when they try to give you an ass load of time. Now, these individuals know from testimonies and things of that nature, they all know that Rodriguez is not a credible witness in things, and this is the approach that we took in things with representing us. How can we sit back and go on a man's word that is not credible? His word is not credible at all. But I was convicted behind his word. Make no mistake about that, God. Look, we're still doing the research now to get the transcripts, right? Give you another case so that you guys understand. We're dealing with Judge Tillett this time. You know that there was an ex-city council member that decided to trump up charges and things of that nature. I still can't get over that non-sexual content. Oh my God, that sexual stuff, I get the hell out of here with that. By the name of Michael Brooks, though. We know that Michael Brooks went in front of the courts to try to get a restraining order against Soul Catcher News, a real news outlet here in Elizabeth City. He was a public figure that actually called us out in the beginning, right? Y'all don't remember that? He actually called us out in the beginning. So when we went to a city council proceeding, is now we are harassing you. When I am doing a actual cover in the place where I resided at, where I grew up at, which is the D-Bry community here in Elizabeth City, he decided to say that I was stalking him, which his house was separated from D-Bry by a whole gate. By the way, the house was not even being occupied at the time because the house was being built at that time. We know that he tried to go through the magistrate office, and the magistrate decided that there was anything at all that would support his claim, only for me to get a court date anyway, if you guys are following, only to get a court date anyway, right? And to go in there and have to fight these charges that should have never been brought up. We're still trying to figure out what those charges are. Only for the judge to say, well, we'll keep it open. And if you come up with anything else, then we'll revisit this. So we don't even know if the case is closed. Just so you guys are following right now. You got the situation that happened to Andrew Brown Jr. just last year, April the 21st, 2021. Do you guys remember that? Or have you forgotten that a man got killed in a school zone, right? By the Pasquotank Sheriff Department that didn't follow their own policies and procedures here. Now, of course, we're getting ready to get the backlash for this, but I don't care, especially when we're going to deal with truth, right? So if we're going to deal with truth, let me ask you this. Did they follow the policies and procedures that is written in the Pasquotank County Sheriff Department code? Their manual that they have? Did they follow that? No, they didn't follow that at all. And the FBI is probably going to be letting you guys know that they didn't follow the policies and procedures. Of course, that was Sheriff Wooten's reign of terror there. So Elizabeth City, North Carolina is dealing with so much violence, right, that you don't even know where it's going to come from. You don't know if the violence is going to come from your judicial system. Remember, Law and Order tells you that it goes hand in hand, right? You guys are familiar with the Law and Order show, right? So, you know, you got the people that arrest you, and then you got the people that prosecute you. They all work together. How do we know that? We know that because the Pasquotank Sheriff Department and also the DA's office, which you guys know Andrew Womble was one of the major players when it came to not getting that justice civilly, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, when it comes to Andrew Brown Jr., right? We know that because the FBI had to step in and say, you know what, we're going to take a look since you guys didn't want to, right? Since you guys want to say that it's justified or whatever. You are looking at around the clock, since we're going to be using a whole lot of examples. So if you turn on your TV, if you look at the news and things, you are starting to see how some of these law enforcement agencies are doing press releases and, you know, press conferences and, you know, things of this nature so that you guys know what's going on. At least in their city, they know people need to be informed on what's going on, right? Where you have seen a lack of accountability here with a lot of exposure at their disposal, if that makes sense. You have a news outlet here that can easily put out the press releases, the press conferences, or whatever it is that you want to have and things. But of course, you know, when you are reporting on things in its totality, people get mad about that, especially those people that hold those higher up positions. Takoria Sutton was gunned down in his vehicle not too long ago. Another unsolved case that is going on here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. You know, we always ask the question, right? Because a lot of people always like to throw back. You love to, you know, shoot your mess or whatever it is that you shoot. So when we ask questions like, what about the family of the victims and things, you usually hear a deaf tone. You usually hear a tone so deaf that if you have on tap shoes, you probably are hearing nothing but those taps going off. You're hearing nothing but the realities of people really not caring and showing their true colors when it comes to these situations. Now, how do we know that? We know that because with Takoria Sutton's case, there's been nobody to speak up or anything like that. We know that on that street is visited a lot. What Takoria's got gunned down at. We know that somebody knows something. The same way that it comes to a lot of these situations that's going on here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. We know somebody knows something, but who's gonna take the initiative, right, to stop the madness that's going on here in the city? And you know, you got these individuals that want you to do the right things here in the city, right? Hey, do the right thing. You don't have to worry about anything. But if you are doing the right things and you're still getting killed, now what? If you are doing the right things, or you are doing the things that are afforded to every single citizen here, right, by minding your business or doing whatever the case may be, and people take the initiative to try to get you killed or attempt to get you killed and actually get you killed, these are individuals that we definitely need to be paying attention to here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. You got cases in Albemarle District Jail that are in question right now. What about the individuals that have turned up dead in Albemarle District Jail, and then that's when Albemarle District Jail wants to shut down? That's when no accountability is given for none of these things at all. What happened to Brian Bowe here? Another situation where law enforcement is in question, right? What is it? Right? Because I don't want to know what that feeling is, to be spineless, to be gutless. I don't want to know what that feeling is. I don't want to know what that feeling is, especially when, you know, individuals are still operating here in the city as if these things didn't take place. We are still waiting for Randy Cartwright to get over the hump it is that he claims that he was trying to get over when it came to the Javon Lee Moore situation. We have a bunch of individuals here that claim that they are serving you, but it's only a matter of time before they really get what it is that they want to serve you, right? You know, to wake up every day, to put on that uniform knowing that every time that you even wake up to brush your teeth, you nothing but a disgrace. It must be something. It must be great when you can put on a uniform, get in your squad car, and actually torment somebody to death. You got law enforcement that would tell you to put your cigarette out for a traffic ticket, only for you to end up getting killed when you're on your way to go and start a new life. You have a job waiting for you and things. Rest in peace, Sandra Bland. Wonder, you know, how that family still feels, especially with individuals always striving to get you to not see the real truth, right? Breonna Taylor and things of that nature. And, you know, you got Eric Gardner and all these individuals that got killed by law enforcement. As soon as you say get killed by law enforcement, then everybody wants to try to get you to forget by saying, well, what about the black on black violence that's going on here? Well, shit, what about the white on white violence? What about the Asian on Asian violence? What about all the violence in the world that's going on right now? What about it, right? Because if you are going to water down one part of the violence, there's no need to give a damn about any of the violence, right? Right? You do know that there is police brutality and things going on here. What would you do if you woke up in a city, right, every day, where some of the individuals that reside in that same city with you don't know you? Think about this. They don't know you, right? Y'all looking? They don't know you. Have never even took the time to get to know you, but hate your guts. Would go and demonize a plan, put a plan together that have you executed, killed, destroyed, took away from him. Zilch, nada, no more existence. What about the families of the victims? There was a mass shooting here last year, December the 2nd. Y'all don't remember that? Oh, I get it. December will be here again real soon, right? What, you got 124 days before Christmas? Something like that. December will be here really soon. You had 3 individuals, 2 of those individuals being very much so children. I know one of them was 18 and, you know, but that was still somebody's child. You know, if you look up the terms in the FBI on what a mass shooting is, you would come to the terms that the mass shooting thing is 3 or more individuals. So that was a mass shooting that took place here last year, according to FBI standards. You can go and look it up. I know, you're a news outlet, but we'll let you look it up this time since Some of you guys love to also doubt soul catching news until the news comes out about what it is that we're reporting on, and then next thing you know, it's crickets. So that's fine too. FBI considers 3 or more individuals shot by one individual a mass shooting. Therefore, with those 3 individuals that got killed and also those individuals that sustained injuries from being shot and things of that nature, because there was more that got shot, right? They didn't die, but they sustained injuries. So little old Elizabeth City, North Carolina had a mass shooting last year, December. You had a law enforcement encounter that ended up with a man dying last year. You got cold cases that are not even, and let's be honest with you, because they, one of the things that we love to be honest with is you, the people, right? And since they don't want to be honest with you, we'll help them out in being honest. There is about to be a law enforcement appreciation thing that they have going on here by one of your local Coke churches here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Elizabeth City Baptist Church being a Coke church. Yes, I said it. Yes, and I stand on it. This church decides to praise law enforcement before they want to praise God a lot of times. We've bought you guys plenty of footage of that. So that's a choose your own adventure, but I don't care. If you are a part of that church, you are a part of that coat, okay? Take it how you want it. But what are we praising law enforcement here for? Are we praising law enforcement for the great job that they did, right? Of executing a man, could have killed other individuals. Y'all remember the young man that was telling the story about how his wife usually sits in that chair all the time, and if she had been sitting in that chair, sure enough, she would have got shot point blank in the head. Right? Y'all don't remember that? This is the Andrew Brown case that we're talking about now. When law enforcement decided once more to go against their own protocols that they have here in Pasquotank County in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Right? Because I'm waiting for somebody to refute what I'm telling you. Right? Don't wait until we go off of the live. You've already tried to critique us. You've already tried to tell us what we need to do when it comes to the news outlet. You've already tried to tell us what we don't need to be saying. But we've already told you that we're going to stand on the truth here. There's individuals right now, that are going through the turmoil and things of so-called law enforcement, and individuals that reside in that, things of that nature, have decided not to do their job, or to do their job the way that they feel fit to do their job, which has nothing to do with being a Leo. For you guys that may not know what Leo is, that's the terminology or whatever for cops, law enforcement, whatever the case may be. And while I do respect some of the law enforcement, we do have to put in perspective here, because we're talking about Elizabeth City, North Carolina right now. There's a bunch of dirtbag cowards on the force. Maybe not on the police force, because 22 individuals have decided to leave because of leadership at that time. Of course, you're going to have individuals that's telling you it's more than meets the eye when it comes to that, when the blue wall of silence, or whatever the case may be, is holding up, even when they don't want to tell you the reason for real on why Larry James was not fit to be the police chief here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Well, we'll tell you. You see, when you do wrong, you get wrong. You did wrong by not giving it to the police chief that should have gotten it. Let's make sure that we're putting that into perspective. Chief Avens should be your police chief. He is your deputy chief now at this time still. Chief Avens was in the mix of everything. He was right under Chief Buffalo, but, Chief Buffalo decided to, let's sign off on Larry Lane James, right? We told you guys in the beginning when Mr. James became the police chief to watch for that hook. And that hook came when we released to you guys that now your police force here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina is down 22 officers. We told you guys that. But some of you guys tried to blame it on the city council. Right? Really messed up here in the city. You try to blame it on the city council. You try to blame it on the mayor. You even tried to blame it on the county manager when the police chief at that time, which was Larry James, didn't even comment or want to explain on what was taking place, on why he was stepping down. Some of you guys have decided to be just like these unruly creatures that filter throughout this city. Now, are we, as the citizens that are striving to be productive, and make no mistake about it, I come from those unruly happenings, just by the grace of Jah, we were able to be blessed with being able to see before we went totally off the rocker, right? What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to bow down to the unruliness that's going on here? Because if you would ask some of these individuals here, they would tell you just stay in your place. You're okay. Right? Right? So let me ask you this. That young man that got killed out there by the food line guys. Y'all remember that? The new food line, that young man got gunned down there, got killed there. Yes, I've seen that. I'm glad. So you can be walking out of the store. You can be working and get shot at. Do you remember on Roanoke Avenue, the story that we bought you? Yeah, the BitLots employee. The story that we bought you on Roanoke Avenue, where there was two young Caucasian ladies, one of them being kind of old, y'all, older in age, walking around with a walker, having to come out of her walker to duck down from the bullets that had nothing to do with them. Do you remember that? Overdoses taking place left and right. Cameras that are so sophisticated according to court testimony. Remember? Y'all, you had to be there. Court testimony on how sophisticated and how all of the cameras work here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, only for the cameras to work when they want them to. How sophisticated is that? Right? Y'all don't remember? They hung their hats. We're talking about the Elizabeth City Police Department, that female that got up there and told all those lies. You watching the camera, or was you out there helping? Right? Y'all didn't catch that? That is actually testimony that was used to try to convict protesters in the Andrew Brown case. You don't remember that? Some of you guys don't remember because those will probably be the guys that was calling us monkeys, bowling pins, and speed bumps. You remember that? Some of you guys was getting called monkeys, bowling pins, and speed bumps. Y'all don't remember that, do you? Some of you guys, God bless his heart. I hope that the Most High really knows that this man was a great man. But Mr. Spearman, you remember Mr. Spearman going out and getting arrested? The pastor that just died, he just died. Y'all just passed away this year. You had pastors like Daniel Spence and all of these other pastors that wear the clergy cloth that speak about getting close to the Most High being arrested last year. They were too was being called monkeys, bowling pins, and speed bumps here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And some of you guys are wondering why we are covering the things that we cover here. Why would you cover this, right? Well, why wouldn't we cover it when we cover everything, right? Once more, what about the families of the victims when it comes to a lot of these situations, right? And so when we tell you that you may need to be in the limelight when it comes to doing things in productivity, right? When we tell you that you need to be in the limelight when it comes to making sure that the people know they can come to you for a helping hand, we will be called all things under the sun, right? When we'll take the time to even say, hey, if you don't want to sit your child down so that we can talk to your child so that your child doesn't become a missing person, right? You hear me? Your child doesn't become a person of circumstances to the streets that don't give a damn about them. Your police here don't care about you. Some of your church folks don't care about you. Some of the parents don't even give a damn about their kids. And you guys are wondering why we are doing what we are doing. We are doing what we are doing because we have decided not to lose hope for what could be if you put in the work, right? That work is going to allow you to get the accountability and the transparency and the things that you need. There's individuals here like Trent McGillberry and, all these other individuals, William Adams Siegel. Well, I can't even think of the young lady that died in Albemarle District Jail, but guys, come on now. These are individuals that had loved ones that still love them and still don't have a lick of an answer to questions and things that was asked when their loved ones was took from them by crazy circumstances. Why do you care about that? That don't have nothing to do with you. Well, of course it does. It has a lot to do with me because when you are on the outside for as long as you are on the outside and something as tragic as that, and I hope that it wouldn't even take for you individuals, some of you guys that may not have been through a tragedy like that, you would hope that because of life lessons and things that other individuals are going through, that you would not want to be going through that yourselves, that you would stand up with those individuals, right? But we see that in this world, the devil has as much of his way than a lot of people would like to accept. It is plaguing our city. It is plaguing the cities that, that's surrounded around us. It is plaguing the world right now because individuals are deciding to stand on anything unruly instead of standing with the righteous. I didn't tell you that you had to be godly in the sense of where your religion binds you. You have to be righteous. You have to be righteous. You have to know what it is to be able to deviate right from wrong and stand on the right. You have to fight against the wrong because the wrong is what's tearing our cities apart. This is not an attack on law enforcement. It has never, ever been an attack on law enforcement. Because if law enforcement was really enforcing the laws, there'd be no problems. That's going to go over your heads because you are thinking that law enforcement, right, is supposed to be the brutal force. You are thinking that law enforcement is supposed to be the judge, jury, and the executioner. You know how you sound, though, if you are going to go that route? Because what kind of feelings would you want anybody to have that have had family members that have been killed, tortured, harassed by law enforcement? When a law enforcement officer dies or something like that, then you want them to, lower the flags, half staff for that day. You want to fly half mast and things of that nature. You want to bring up things about the courageous acts of the law enforcement officer or whoever the case may be. You want everybody to stop what they are doing and let's lay it down for the law enforcement. You know how many families been overlooked because you want somebody to lay it down for the law enforcement? Some of those law enforcement officers that have died in the line of duty and things of that nature was just as crooked as they wanted to be, but you want individuals that have some type of sympathy. And it ain't many of them because you got a bunch of unruly creatures right now that wear that badge that still operate here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and abroad for that matter, right? That's right. You're right. Speaking of that little girl that got killed here, Miss Allure Pleasure, bless her heart. We could have flew the flag half mast for the 18-year-old that shielded her body with his body and him getting killed or whatever the case may be when he tried to save her life. I don't know what people want us to do. I don't know what people want us to do. Can you really call yourself a person if you want somebody to stand on something that you know that isn't right? How many of you guys plan on voting in November, right? How many of you guys are going to hold it to Eddie Graham because he's really black? We have to keep it in perspective and things, right? Because if we tell you guys the truth over and over again, some of you guys are going to just keep right on sweeping that under the rug. We've told you guys what's the difference between Eddie Graham and Sheriff Wooten when it comes to running for the sheriff in November. Eddie Graham has never sent anybody to your house to kill you. Sheriff Wooten has. It's already been on record and things so that you guys can understand that, if Sheriff Wooten wants to kill you, he's going to send his deputies to your house. They're going to carry out whatever it is that they carry out, and then they're going to go ahead and go to the DA, and the DA is going to play ball. You guys are in for a treat with this Mr. Jeff Cruden fellow. If you guys think that Andrew Womble is nasty in his ways, you guys haven't seen anything yet. And then, while we're speaking about Andrew Womble that played a part in the cover-up of the murder of Andrew Brown Jr., let's go ahead and make sure that we put that out there in its totality and things. Let's go ahead and make sure that you guys know this too as well, right? You do know with this situation that is coming forth in November that Andrew Womble is running for a Superior Court judge against Eula Reed. Now, go ahead and don't vote for Eula Reed because you're black. That's the narrative that some of you guys have decided to spin, and then you get mad because we call you out on your unruly, bigoted nature, your savage, unruly nature. You get mad when we call it out, but you don't mind strutting your stuff in it. You don't mind being it. I don't understand. Do you? Do you? Make it make sense, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and surrounding areas, because only you would be able to make sense from the fact that, $3 million was accosted to this city. But none of y'all pulled the trigger to kill the man. Can anybody explain how would you vote for individuals that would cost you $3 million that you don't have? Remember, you don't have that. According to Elizabeth City, North Carolina, according to Pasquotank County, they are so locked up in money. What, $3 million? Oh, but he's doing a great job, right? He did a great job in signing off on an individual getting killed on a nonviolent warrant, on the lies that was propagated here for so many months here about him trying to kill them, which Andrew Brown never ever tried to kill anybody. He never tried to use his car as a weapon. We've actually showed you guys that, and you still got some idiots here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and abroad for that matter, that's going to try to push that narrative when we've already showed you guys the tracks don't match up. The tracks don't match up at all. They never matched up. The kickback from the tires and things that was on the wall and thing where the mural is now on the house, it never, ever, ever matched up. Never. A lot of people got mad at you because you decided to vote for the new city council and things. A lot of these folks was taken back by the fact that you actually got out here and voted for the individuals that you wanted to run your city. And I might add, those particular individuals, because they still catching flack now, guys. We just told you that. Your city council and even down to your mayor has been out beating the streets to make sure that y'all know they working for you. Now, whether that be a ploy or not, you guys can, choose your own adventure on that. But what I'm saying is the proof is in the pudding, right? And seeing is believing. If you guys have been here long enough, then you know that you've never seen anything like this. Not since Kurt Rivers' daddy and his mom and all of them was on, working for the city and things of that nature. So that might be a little too long for some of you guys. When William Lee, Pete Lee, and all of them was doing a lot of the things that had something to do with the community developments and stuff out here. Yeah, it wasn't just Miss Mackey. Some of you guys probably think it was just Miss Mackey, right? That goes to show you that you wasn't in tune with your city as much as you thought you was then. And some of you guys ain't in tune with your city that you got going on right now. You have a chance right now to dig this city up out of the dirt that it's been in for so many years. But you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. That would require for you to make sure that the riffraff is gone away from here. You are going to have to make a decision to eradicate this thing in its entirety, or you're not going to go anywhere. But down that slippery slope there, Elizabeth City been going down for many years now. And why Elizabeth City would be going down for those so many years, it's not just one element. There's plenty of elements that played a part in the downward spiral of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Plenty. I am going to be doing Reasoning with Seasoning podcasts, guys. Once more, I am looking at this camera. I'm also looking at this camera. I have another camera here. What we are asking you guys to do, because this was our first episode, guys, basically an introductory, but we're going to be diving into a lot of things when it comes to this podcast. A lot of the things that we're going to start doing, too, is involving you as the citizens here. We're going to start having some citizens come and sit with us on the podcast. Of course, this is the first podcast, so it's going to grow. Of course, there's going to be different elements and things. We want to make you guys feel at home when we invite you and things. So, of course, if you guys drink a little, sip a little bit, whatever the case may be, because we're going to be diving around things a lot. And this is not going to be your traditional news reporting while we are doing podcasts and things of that nature, guys. This is going to be something to where you can really elevate your minds. You guys can go ahead and let your voices and stuff be heard on our platform. We want to hear from you guys, right? Maybe Soul Catching News 7 here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina is the only ones that really care about the voices here. The differences that could be made here. But first we got to get rid of the excuses, y'all. Javon Lee Moore should still be here. You don't have to agree with that. But he should. Andrew Brown Jr. should still be here. Sequoia Sutton should still be here. You guys can start putting in the comments right now on who you think should still be here. Because their name should still be ringing right now out of your mouths, out of your souls, out of your hearts. Your people are never truly dead if we keep them there, right? Right? I don't know Elizabeth City, North Carolina. What's at stake? I don't know the future. I know some pieces, only because I pay attention enough to know some of the pieces. I'll leave you guys with this. There's been many people before myself that I've come to grow to love because of the message, because of the actions that these individuals decided to take when it comes to informing the people, fighting for the people, and things of that nature. This is, I could go day in and day out on how many influential pieces we have had that we can go and do research on if we have never even met them a day in our lives and still be in awe at the things they were able to accomplish here. Once you start realizing that all of this stuff is bigger than the individual, it's bigger than us. Once you start realizing that if we are going to hang our hats on the fact that our spirituality is intact, then we must do everything in place to keep it there. And siding with the unruly creatures and things is just not the way to go. Of course, for a lot of individuals, or at least for some, that too is starting to become a choose your own adventure book. But for the record, we've already chosen the adventure that we deem fit to go on. And as long as the Most High is leading, I think that adventure is going to open up a lot of doors to a lot more things that's needed. This is Soul with Soul Catching News. Of course, guys, we'll be bringing you guys news around the clock and things of that nature. I appreciate everybody, that actually came in to listen to what it is that we had to say. Of course, these podcasts is going to be coming on, guys. You may not even know when it's going to happen and whatnot, but we're trying to work on that. Facebook, the algorithm and things in Facebook and stuff has been off. Of course, with our YouTube channel, we are definitely striving to get you guys to come over there so that we can help support ourselves more, guys, when it comes to bringing you guys the news. It has been a great honor, and I want to say that because some of you guys may not hear that as much. It is a great honor to be able to report the news and things. It's even greater of an honor to be able to be blessed to be able to do this, if this makes sense, especially with all the turmoil and anarchy you may have going on in your life. Once more, I'm a Army veteran, war veteran that suffered from PTSD and a whole lot of other things. And to You know, have a wife, a support system that really believes in what it is that you believe in. And that's striving to make sure everybody knows that you're somebody, right? You can come from anything, but you have to start being somebody. Or fall by the wayside. This is Soul with Soul. Catch a new guy. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend that we're working for you, the people. All of the people. And I will tell you, let the force be with you. May the force be with you or whatever, but it's not May. Oh, hell. May the force be with you. Peace and blessing to everybody, y'all. We're going to see you guys when we see you.